Hello everyone. S&M, Hellbolt, love you, man. What's going on, Brent? How are you doing? Oh, the sweet, sweet DCaholics. I love you guys. Who is ready for some awesome news? We have officially reached our fourth country of sales. We had our first sale to Italy this morning. So now our products can be seen in the US, Canada, Australia, and Italy. That's pretty cool. That's very cool. So word is getting out there. Other breakers are buying our product and opening them on their channel for themselves, which is awesome to get that kind of exposure, get other people viewing our items, liking them, and then opening them for themselves. So cheers to that. It feels like almost a day since the last time we've talked. How is everybody? Oh, it will be. Are you kidding me? 2022 is already bonkers. I saw my cat snuck in. Okay, so there is only one versus left. That's it. It's box number 18. What's going on, Don? What's going on, Sean? Oh, hey, listen, sorry to hear about your toothache, man. I know that can be painful. On the flip side, probably would have had a crazy show all hopped up on dentist medicine, though. My cat, her name is Yennefer, after the mage in and love interest of Geralt of Rivia, because she's blue, and feisty. Oh, then Maddie would love my cat. Because she is fierce. And I'm pretty sure she could set fire to an entire city. Night Court. I like Night Court. It was one of my guilty pleasures in my younger years. Epic Mystery Box. Bounty Hunters. Sig Series. Box 1 of 5. I'll let everybody guess whose this is. Good luck. Racks on racks on racks. The Awesome One. Definitely not my nickname in high school. What's going on, Team Money? Epic scene. Oh. Who's that bounty hunter in that tea? It's Boba. It's Boba. And Bosk. And IG-11. Bonjour, Benji. Ça va? I believe that's going to be art. If only the both of you liked art. Speaking of Bosk, there he is. It's almost like deja vu. James plays Battlefront and is a Bosk fan. He sets off poison traps all over the board and just watches his score rack up. There it is. Oh, Lee absolutely killed it in this set. He was definitely using a nice variation of technique in there. Oh, thanks, Brent. I can only try. I can only try. All right, so only one versus left. We're good on bounty hunters. We're good on holy ship. What set hasn't Lee crushed it in? That's a valid point. I would say he was fairly lacking in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one. If I had to pick one set, he didn't crush versus either. That's also true. So I would say he didn't do very well in versus and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because he wasn't in either of those. But if he was, I'm sure he would have crushed it. But since he wasn't, we can't give him credit for crushing. He's not an artist, he just crushes a lot. That's true. And so from what I was told, artists were coming up to our booth in WonderCon and being like, hey, how do I play? And coming in and being like, hey, I want in. Speaking of cons, it was just announced Niagara Falls Comic-Con will be in June. And Niagara Falls Comic-Con is going to be about 30 to 45 minutes away from my house. Well, hello, Madison Avenue, a.k.a. Maddie. Thank you for following. Favorite place on the Citadel? Yeah, so there is a 99.87% chance that I will be going to the Niagara Falls Comic-Con in Canada. Guess who is on Twitch? You are. It's Canadian. It's Canada. I am vaccinated. I do have an enhanced New York license, which allows us to cross the Canadian border without a passport. And I also don't have a DUI or DWI, because if you get one of those, you're not allowed in Canada. So I have carefully orchestrated my life to be able to come and go to the Canadian border as I pleased. Now, if we could only get Benj Boy to come to Niagara Falls from the great city that he's in, it is June. If you would like dates, I will give them to you. June 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I mean, Sean, that's not terribly far for you to travel. That's like, what, 7-hour drive? Not to dox you, but there's a lot of places 7 hours away from Niagara Falls in all directions. Well, let's the artist list, not fully, but let me tell you who will be there. William Shatner, Brad Dourif from Child's Play, James Marsters from Buffy, Corey Feldman from Everything in Your Youth, Ron Perlman, Hellboy, Sons of Anarchy, Ryan Hurst, who is also in Sons of Anarchy, Kim Coates, who I loved in Sons of Anarchy, Mark Boone Jr., who may or may not betray some space people, in addition to being from Sons of Anarchy, Laura Vandervoort, Smallville, David Koechner from Anchorman, Joseph Marcel, he's from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, if you remember, he's the butler, Charles Martinet, who is the voice of Super Mario, Curtis Armstrong, a.k.a. Booger, from Revenge of the Nerds. And by the way, for $75, you can have a beer with Booger. Everybody will get a personalized beer mug and a group picture with Curtis Armstrong, a.k.a. Booger. And you all get to pound a beer together. If you've seen the movies, you understand it. Danny Bonaducci will be there, but I don't want to get punched in the face, so I probably will not. What's going on, Panda? Probably will not approach Danny. Richard Karn from Home Improvement? I don't think so, Tim. Debbie Dunning from Home Improvement, because they couldn't get any of the other famous ones. Nick Castle and James Jude Courtney from Halloween, a.k.a. the Michael Myerses. This is one for Don. Hey, Don. Larry Wilcox and Eric Estrada will be there. What's up, Lee? I love you, Ice Wolf. You're pretty darn cool. Veronica Taylor, voice from Pokemon. Linda Larkin, the voice of Jasmine. Ross Marquand from The Walking Dead and, the Red Skull. Tom Berenger from Major League and probably every other thing that you can imagine. One of my personal heroes, David Ayers, the emergency goalie for the Carolina Hurricanes. Paul Blake, who played Greedo, will be there. as well as Tim Rose, who, in addition to being Admiral Akbar, was quite a few other things. Now, I don't know if you guys like bounty hunters, but Daniel Logan is going to be hanging out as well. Baby Boba. Philip Glasser, voice of Fievel, An American Tale. So if you feel like crying, watch that movie and then go get something signed by him. Kevin Nash doing an appearance, one of his first since the passing of Razor Ramon. Santino, as well as my buddy Mick Foley will be there. I have a great story about me hanging out with Mick Foley. Wonderful person. Mick Foley is just an all-around cool dude. Oh, yeah. Have a nice day. I would need to get Santino to do the trumpet celebration with me. So it's funny. My father, as a joke, back in like the 80s, would do the trumpeter, marching band trumpeter celebration whenever something would go right. And to see him do that on wrestling this last 5-6 years, my family was like, I feel like he owes us royalties. So I would have to get a video of me and him doing that for my dad. I am. The Rona is gone. My lungs have healed from the pneumonia. I believe I'm good. Prism boxes for 2K. Goodness gracious. I opened a mountain of WWE before I left the other company who shall not be named. That person was dropping grand after grand on that stuff. He's probably making a fortune now if he held on to it. I doubt he did. But I bet you he's making a fortune. $1K 2 weeks ago for a box of Prism. Then it jumped to $2K. You know, this is just a hunch, but I'm wondering if major companies who deal in sports cards bought a ton of them in the beginning, released a third of what they have, and then as supply dwindled, cranked up the price and blamed it on having to buy it back again, even though they got a lump sum at the original buy-in price, to create a false scarcity and capitalize in demand. I'm not saying companies do that, but I'm just saying I wonder if that's what's been going on for the last, I don't know, 2 years in the industry. I mean, I wouldn't know. I'm not privy to the financials of any companies. But man, that would be unscrupulous to create false scarcity and increase price to imitate demand. Only a true dirtbag lowlife would have a company that did that. Thankfully, I don't know anyone like that. I love all of you. Oh, goodness. So, what is everybody's plan for tomorrow? And don't say ham. No. What did Moon Knight's #1's rocket to? If I had to guess, I'm going to say a lot. Ouch. I'm sorry you have to work tomorrow. You never look anymore. I'm not going to lie, I was 5 minutes late today because I took a nap. All right, Pando, you can be here. I won't be, but I'll give you the code to the security on the door. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what a moron would have for his luggage. My God. That's that's the code for my luggage. We need to change that. CGC. I believe that's the answer. Although I have heard that the new CBCS cases are a vast improvement on the previous CBCS cases. However, CGC still seems to be pretty much the gold standard. And when I dealt with comic books at the place that cannot be named, they would prioritize CGC over CBCS. So for whatever that's worth. That's right. That's right, Don. Tell him, feed the cats. There's 3 of them. Every one of my graded comics are gone. I traded what was left of my graded comic collection for a piece of art for the living room. A limited edition blown up Luke Skywalker comic book cell. That I got at New York Comic Con. So everything I have now is ungraded. There's some keys. I went through my comic book collection today, and I have a few keys. I mean, listen, to me, say I have a few keys. It's like I literally have like 2 or 3 that are like, oh wow, you just happen to have that. Now, Lee, if I do that, are you gonna swear? Picture of D? No. He's like, no, I won't swear. All right, give me a second. We'll talk a little shop.
Did I swear last time?
You did.
I apologize. I did not realize I did. Did I swear last time? Oops,
you did. So it's okay. I love you.
I will watch my potty mouth. I was in the Marine Corps, so. Before I was in the Marine Corps, I never said a bad word. But when somebody starts shooting at you, your vocabulary rapidly increases.
I was in the Navy, and I had a potty mouth even before the Navy. But my ability to swear and dress down people with explicatives exponentially increased. Oh, we got an Army guy too.
I got really clever at some of my expletives, mostly due to my drill instructors. Because if anybody has ever seen any movie with R. Lee Ermey, he's not acting. That's how drill instructors really are.
Yeah, isn't that how they found him?
So what key issues do you have?
Spawn number 1. I mean, that was by default. Wolverine number 1, not 181. I know it's where everybody immediately jumps. Well, let me pull some stuff out.
Sweet. Don says no different working in a factory, except the gunfire.
Yeah, I also work in a factory. So one hand washes the other.
Or one hand picks up the other after it's been severed.
That's true. Well, at my shop, yes, we have, where I work, there is quite a few people that don't have fingers, or are missing 1 or 2 fingers, or at least the fingers at the second knuckle. Which is why I'm desperately hoping that we become successful so that I can work in a place that isn't going to take my fingers. I got dangerously close to blowing my thumb off. I sent some photos to some people in the chat, seen them. I was about a 1/4 inch from losing my thumb at the top knuckle. We're not going to talk about that.
I actually have an album on my phone called Personal Injury.
So this collection. Is one I wish I would have sent you. I should have sent you one of these.
Ah, yes.
But I don't think I'd get them to you in time now.
I don't know if he's going to be there now because when I checked, I should have asked him today because I wasn't thinking about it. But when I checked everything yesterday, I just came back from a meeting at San Diego Comic Fest. That's why I was late. But yeah, they had mentioned that that he might not actually be there, so they've pulled him off the website.
Oh,
it's like he was there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So for people who are not familiar with Vigilante, Vigilante is nothing like what you see on TV. He's actually a very complex character. He only had a 50-run set. I own every single copy of Vigilante that was printed. I own the run. But Cyborg, you'd find some of the earlier iterations of Cyborg in there.
Nice.
Where is the one that... So this one actually, I had to reread due to the recent show. And in a second, I'll be able to tell you. So when Trevor and Lee,
never heard of him.
Lee is a big time comic book guy. Obviously, you see what he does. He's a comic book creator. Had a shop. We're not going to talk about it. And like when they say keys, they're like, yeah, I have the first appearance of Bruce Banner's circumcision that is limited to 2 copies, and I have both copies. I don't have anything that nice. So everything I have will pale in comparison to what they have.
Doug beats me.
Well, oh yeah, I mean, it's
I
Doug.
have, I will say, quantity over quality. I've got some good stuff. So I have like First Appearance of Blade. I actually have a complete run of Marvel Star Wars, the original.
Little Peacemaker.
Nice. The
Peacemaker popped up a lot in there, which is why they used Vigilante.
mm-hmm. So with so I have like a complete run of Tomb of Dracula and the original Marvel Star Wars. I also have a complete run of Animal Man, because Animal Man and Grendel were like my go-to comics back in the day. And I'm trying to collect 1 through 300 of X-Men. Uncanny X-Men. Nice.
So this is a terribly significant comic book, even though it doesn't cost much at all. I'm going to spoil this run. So if you're going to ever read Vigilante, don't listen to the next 10 minutes of me talking, because I'm about to tell you how it ends. Fair warning. I'm starting now. So Vigilante is one of, first of all, this is when DC actually deviated from the code. They moved to mature, the mature label, which you can see under the DC logo. It simply, yeah, it simply said suggested for mature audience. This is non-code. The character of Vigilante struggled against another Vigilante from Marvel, who became much more popular at around the same time. You may have heard of him. His name is Frank Castle. So because of that, they decided to end Vigilante's run, and they did it in a fashion that had never been done before. Vigilante, who is actually a lawyer and becomes a judge in the series, realizes that he is no better than the scum that he is killing and putting away, that are getting away from the justice system. So he decides at the very end of issue 50, the end of his run, to look himself in the mirror and blow his brains out. First time that a major character ended himself in such a gory fashion, and that was actually displayed on the page. In addition, it is one of the first times an openly gay villain was introduced into a series, and that was actually fairly groundbreaking, and something Marv Wolfman does say that he was pretty proud of doing, because nobody had done it up until that time, having 2 openly gay villains that were a couple. It had been inferred in previous comic books, but never outright and open where they share embraces. And we're talking, this is like the mid-'80s, so that was way out of line for your typical comic book. Where is some of the...
I don't want to talk over you. So because we're talking real time, the videos lag, so it looked like you were still talking.
Oh, okay.
Dead air.
Nice. Yeah, my feed is slightly behind, because I went with a little bit more. I think I'm at 60 frames per second, but I'm using a higher rate for the camera, so it's a little off on my end. This one, I think everybody has. This was the first. This was the first time that I actually went out to seek a comic book instead of just getting it to read it. This is the first time I actually bought one, because I was like, I have to have that.
Kelly Jones, I believe.
You did what to a who?
The artist.
Oh, everybody has one of these in the original Mylar bag.
Oh, yeah. I remember people actually getting into fist fights outside my comic book store to get those.
They made like 1 million copies of it.
Yep. There was a dude came in, bought as many as we would sell him, immediately walked outside and was selling them on the corner for like $75 a pop.
What a jerk. Superboy Zero. I think you can get it graded in the Mylar bag. I believe they do that now.
That's interesting. I don't know. I've just got my certification with CGC, so I'm going to start playing with stuff. I know we're going to do, we're going to certify some of the comics I'm drawing on. And then hopefully DCD will use those. I don't know. If not, I've got stuff to sell at the show. But actually that's something that would be kind of cool. Is like, what does the audience, what do you guys like the idea of? Like, what kind of breaks do you like? Because I know like Indian Fan was actually talking about the sports stuff because he just went nuts over the Gretzky I just painted.
Okay, this is my good comic box.
I like how it's got the custom artwork on it.
Yeah, this is my Marvel and Marvel, Image, and Valiant box. The other one is just DC.
Thanks, Steven. I love that. That was I inadvertently channeled Bernie Wrightson on that one. That Ghost Rider cover.
You have to love Chromium comics. Nothing screams 90s
Oh my God.
like Chromium.
Nothing screams like 90s. Like this comic looks like it could be recycled as metal.
Yeah, that's right. These are modern. That was one that everybody picked up when they saw it.
X-Force.
I actually grabbed this one the other day. This is the new run, Immortal X-Men, with the Mr. Sinister variant.
That's a nice one.
I dig it. I showed this one. I didn't show this on stream, but I did show this in the chat that we did, the Zoom meeting yesterday. This is the new Punisher with the new logo. Everybody hates this logo, so I got the variant that showed the logo because it's going to be a polarizing one, and I would love to get this signed. I need to figure out who's in here and have everybody sign it.
Fan of that. Oh. There's so many other directions they could have gone.
Oh, I know.
You know, they could have done like made a something like the Mandalorians. They have the Mythosaur skull. You know, they could have done something like give him an actual animal like
See you later, Trevor.
You know, a leopard or something like that. You know, skull. But yeah, that looks a little like the Predator.
Good old Excalibur #1.
Mel, yes, it is me. Ooh.
So I actually go ahead.
Wait, that's Excalibur #1 annual. I was going to say that's not the right. I've never seen that cover.
I think I have the other one too in here somewhere. So I actually got to meet Martinez. I had him do a Ghost Rider for me, a 4x6 Ghost Rider, because I am a Ghost Rider fan. He did Blaze, so I got him to do one custom for me, just a real quick sketch. But this is the first Blaze that he worked on.
Nice. That was such a horrible masthead.
Everybody has one of those, so I had to join the bandwagon.
That's cool. Spider-Gwen.
He's going to be kind of important soon.
What was his first appearance?
Oh, God, I don't know. I definitely don't have that. I have nothing of considerable value at all.
I bet Doug has it.
I'm sure he has 6 of them.
That's a good one. I was a huge fan of Wolverine. That, I believe, was that's a key issue, by the way. That's an important issue. That one is actually, I think, Mark Silvestri's either first cover or the beginning of his run.
That one, I actually got that newsstand. As you can see, that was the newsstand one, not the direct. when it came out. I think that's the oldest comic book I owned that I actually acquired myself. That and the first one I ever got, I'll jump ahead. So I need to move that over here. This is the first. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the non. So that I'm sorry. I was thinking. So it's the debut of Wolverine's black costume. It's not Mark Silvestri. I forgot about that, but it is. But that is actually on the high end, $100.
Yeah. This was the first comic I ever bought. That was strictly for
nice
doing anything.
For not reading?
Yes. Unfortunately, it did get damaged over the decades. There's some imprinting under the name Spawn. It's tough to see, but it's there. I can see it.
When you come out here, if I remember to check my collection before you get out here, I'll give you one of mine.
Oh, thank you. I'll trade.
Just remind me like a week before.
I'll autograph this one and give it to
you. Steven, yes, there is a difference in value between newsstand versus direct. So with the direct market, they would send out the books to comic book stores. And that's basically direct to the customers, pretty much direct to the comic shop market as it were. Newsstand, however, books would sit on the newsstand for a few weeks. They would get mangled, destroyed, because those old spinner racks were horrible if the books weren't bagged and boarded. So they would actually tear up the comics. And so even if a newsstand book had a larger run than a direct market run of the same book, what usually would end up happening is the books would be so mangled and destroyed, or anything that didn't sell, they would actually rip the covers off and send back the covers to the publisher to get a refund that they would then apply to the next month's book. And so that was this whole thing where they would do like they would let you refund books, but rather than shipping the whole book, they would tear them up and only send the cover. And some unscrupulous vendors would actually then sell the interior pages of a book at a discount. But yeah, so because newsstand books were being torn apart, were being shredded by their own displays, and also just in general had lower print runs. So they tend to be a rarer variant than direct market books, where everybody kept everything pristine and bagged and boarded and up on a shelf, protected from little kids.
And I believe the other version is actually Wolverine in the brown and yellow doing the come here type look. Different cover too. I am a fan of breaking the fourth wall. That is why. That is why I love Deadpool.
So the reason I have a weird, crazy comic collection, and it's so eclectic, it's so over there. Oh, that's nice. Who's the artist on that one?
This one.
The white cover Deadpool.
Not listed. And I'm not opening it.
I don't believe you. Okay. No, that might have been Marat Michaels. So
it's direct edition.
For those who are curious, Marat has actually said he's very interested in doing something with this. Yep.
I mean, I could open it.
Nah, don't worry about it. But Marat was a big artist on Deadpool, so we're hoping to get him over to do some stuff.
This was one of those where it's just a great cover.
Yeah. Oh, those were great.
Here's one that I think may end up in a break soon. Hint, hint.
Ooh. Marvel Comics #1.
I thought this was fun. Didn't know Smurfs was Marvel.
So, legendary artist John Byrne, actually, yeah, you're nodding. You know who John Byrne is. Actually did Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch comics while he was actually working on some of the biggest comics for DC and Marvel. For some reason, he also took on a project drawing Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch. And I have the scans of those original pages just because they were just so funny. I had to keep them.
Steve, the answer is 20. Girl power.
Ooh. Who was the writer on Rising?
I mean, everyone has one of these. I'm no different.
Technically, everybody has 5 of them.
Yeah, it's every variant. Let's see. Who do we have here? DeSalvo, Rosenberg, and Magruder.
Okay. Probably just Salvo. I was trying to remember if that was one of the J. Michael Straczynski books. So here's a crazy thing. So J. Michael Straczynski is the guy who created Babylon 5.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, there's 2 of the 5.
Yeah.
Do you have the other 3?
I do not have the other 3 in these boxes.
I'll check to see it. Oh, you have them. Okay, just not in this box.
I have to look. There's one small box of comics still in one of my parents' houses. I don't know what condition they'd be in, but I believe I had all 5.
Yeah, so it was funny with my comic book collection. So I have a friend who's one of my collectors. He collects my artwork, but he's also just a good friend. He and I actually worked together at Verizon for a time when I was lead artist over there. But it was funny because he went off and founded a couple of companies. He accidentally created malware. He apologizes profusely to everybody for that. And it was funny because he sold the company that created all that stuff, and he just developed this weird habit that if he saw a comic book store going out of business, he would buy it. And then we would go through, alphabetize the entire collection, and he would grab one of everything that wasn't already in his collection and then give me the rest. So I have a massive collection of basically old comic book stores. And it takes up a massive storage unit. And we're slowly working away, but that's where the fodder for my kids' button making business came from.
That made sense.
But that's why we have so many. That's why I have so many dupes of some of my comics.
I will
and
find
I've got
something.
Like 200 boxes of Marvel coming.
I'll find something odd and I'll grab it because it's old or different. Notice complimentary copy. So I'm assuming that was one of the pre-release ones that were sent out before the run.
Yeah, so that could be a bit kind of like the screener version.
Mm-hmm. And
so we were
talking about her breasts. See, they were small at one point.
Yes. Yeah, Power Girl was a normally sized girl. And then, again, I'm pretty sure it was Adam Hughes. It may not have been, but I remember the conversation. They were just like, he was getting upset with the editor.
Mm-hmm.
So he just kept making Power Girl bustier and bustier and bustier every issue. And something like 9 issues in or 6 issues in, suddenly the editor's just, what the hell? That's as close as I'll get to swearing about it. It's in the Bible. It's okay.
I got this one just because it was less than 10 and it was $2. I was like, thing number 9? Okay, I'll buy that for a couple bucks. Garbage.
Yeah, once I actually get my storage, so my storage unit and studio are currently full of the stuff from friends and people who passed away. And since 2019, the pandemic basically means it all ended up at my house. But as soon as all that stuff is gone and cleared out, I should be getting that 200 long boxes of just Marvel comics. So when I get that, we should do a little party and just crack them open. It'd be fun.
This is one of my favorite covers.
I love that one. Green versus gray.
Yep.
And Hellbolt, yes, I did call you, but I referred to you as sexy man.
Yes, I heard him. He did. A lot of this stuff is just featuring Ghost Rider. Hey, holograms are cool.
Sure.
I remember the series.
Did you ever see the DC comic Eclipse?
Oh,
The
that
first
sounds familiar.
issue had a giant plastic gem embedded on the cover. Everybody hated that book because it destroyed every book it was behind
Yeah.
because it stuck out like a quarter of an inch. It was massive and it would just dig into everybody's books. I know people went through their collection and actually like with a X-Acto knife and cut that chunk off.
This
Ooh,
Avengers
nice.
has some of the
Jumper.
who are they? Eternals in it.
Nice.
And we
I
find
was
some
I was
figures.
I was somewhat bummed by like the Eternals movie. I'm sad that it didn't do as well as it should have
Mhm.
because it was really an ambitious thing. Like they had to essentially change gears, try to restart and bring in a lot of new content and new themes and new characters. And I almost wish that they would have either done multiple movies or use Disney Plus as a platform to do a series based on each character, then do the movie.
Yeah.
Because you would have been able to get that backstory out and it would have been a lot less of just, coasting through, trying to throw lots of info at people. Because that movie should have done way better than it did. Amazing actors in it. And I thought honestly, I thought the acting in that movie was brilliant.
Oh,
But
it was. So my friend Steve Geiger is the cover artist of this one.
nice. Web of Spider-Man was always an underrated series. I never understood why. Just spectacular. It was Amazing Spider-Man sold off it would just fly off the shelves.
Yeah.
Spider-Man would fly off the shelves. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, it walked off the shelves over time. And then Web of Spider-Man kind of, it had to be dragged off the shelf. It didn't quite do as well. I never understood why.
Not a key issue, but an iconic cover.
Ah, yes. Now those were the old reprints, right?
I believe so.
Those are the reprints of the original run.
No, 1987.
Well, that's when that
What?
one came out.
Yeah.
But it reprinted an issue from the 60s, if I remember correctly.
Could be. Oh, I don't look at it. You can tell I have Mel's comics.
Is there a Barbie in there? Little Mermaid. I wasn't off by.
Yeah.
I once got offered a job to work on Barbie. In fact, that was my first professional job offer. Was
you took it
an
down for
editor.
integrity.
What's up?
And you turned it down because of your integrity.
Sadly. And I say sadly because I was 17 years old. I was in high school still. And I just remember for some reason I always thought it was Barbara Kiesel was the one who offered me the job. But she and I are good friends now. And she's like, no, that wasn't me. So I screwed that up. But anyways, now I don't remember who the editor was. But yeah, an editor from Marvel. Basically it was all like, we like we like the way you're doing stuff. And can you do, would you like to work on Barbie? And, they're like, we want you to work on Marvel, of course, is the first thing, Marvel Comics editor wants to talk to you about working on a book. And I'm super excited. I'm hyped. I'm 17 years old. I'm cranking out doodles in my sketchbook every day. And, I'm a junior in high school. And and of course, I'm excited. I'm thinking, they're going to have me work on the Avengers or X-Men, which was my big comic at the time, or Wolverine or something, or Captain America. I was just dancing all over the place, really excited. And then she's like, no, we want you to work on Barbie. And there was this whole thing like you have to draw exactly like every Mattel artist who has ever worked on Barbie. Like there was a style guide and you couldn't deviate from it. If you ever created another character in the book that was referred to by name, so we'll say Earl. So if Barbie ever addressed Earl in the book, you would now have to do an entire spec sheet on Earl. and they would decide whether or not Earl was a marketable character as a toy. If Earl was not marketable as a character, you'd have to remove him from the book and redraw and change everything. And I was listening to all this kind of the stuff on it, and I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm 17 years old, and I'm going to be working on Barbie, which means if I'm walking through the halls in high school, everybody's going to be giggling and laughing at me, going, "There's the dude who works on Barbie." And so I turned it down. Years later, when I was more intelligent, I sat down and was all like, wait a minute. That was 22 pages a month, $200 a page, 12 books a year. I would have been the highest paid senior in high school the following year. And so when they laughed at me and said, there's the guy who works on Barbie, I could then laugh back and say, no, I'm the guy who's driving a Corvette to school every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my brain didn't quite think that way. And honestly, it would have gotten me in the door at Marvel at a very early age when, Todd McFarlane was talking once about how they were handing people checks over at Image. Like, this artist, his very first book, here's a check for $250,000 for last month's book. Congratulations. And
bonkers.
I missed out on all of that because I was worried about getting laughed at. I let my ego get in the way.
Iconic glow cover.
Now, is that was the gold one a second printing, or was that like a retailer variant?
Don't know. Great question. Didn't care, just wanted because it was Ghost Rider. That's how most of my collection is.
And it's marked.
I don't know how this happened, but a DC Action comic got in with my Marvel. Throw that away.
Which one was it? I had the tab out. I was looking at the Ghost Rider comic. What issue Ghost Rider was that one?
It is 15.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, gold is second printing.
So now we'll get into the obscure stuff.
By the way, still worth quite a bit of money. So
I think I picked that up for like $10.
Oh yeah, well, a 9.8 is actually $80, $100. There's one here for 300. There's 175 for 9.6.
So they rebooted Ray, and Ray was fantastic. If you don't know who this is, it's a really cool concept. And it came with a few variants. I grabbed all the ones they had. Unity.
I would love to do some work with Valiant at some point. Bart Sears. I have the original scans for all of his Bart Sears
I might have a new order.
designs. I curated a huge collection one day. That guy who bought comic book stores, one day he couldn't find a store to buy, so he decided to buy everything Heritage Auctions had.
Nice. I love Heritage. Maddie's like, I don't want to look at comic books anymore. Open something for me.
I'm looking up Carr Andrews. Oh, I'm digging his stuff, Stephen.
This one I actually pulled, not because it's important, it's not, but Mark Teixeira is the one that did those Venom pieces that
Union
was in the last one, was in the run. Here you go. There's more metal.
By the way, if that book was one of the Wildstorm effects books that was colored, that Union, I don't know if I worked on it. I think I did some ad stuff for all of those. I don't remember if I worked on the actual book, but with the Wildstorm effects team, I was actually ghost coloring for a couple of the guys back in the day.
I dig that.
But there's a slim chance I may have actually worked on that book. I have to go look through it.
Most people don't know Wildcats. Most people don't know Youngblood. Youngblood was actually really cool. And Old School Bloodshot. Not the limited Bloodshot. That's the more common one.
Very cool.
There's a limited version of it that's worth like $2,000.
I was really jazzed. I got to sit down and chat with Rob Liefeld at WonderCon. So he was one of my best friends is a gentleman named Joel Adams, whose dad is named Neil. But
Neil Adams, never heard of him.
Yeah, he's worked on a couple of things here and there.
Done.
But actually it was cool because we just got a message. It's like, yeah, Rob wants to talk to Joel. And Joel's like, well, I'm talking to Lee. And they're like, well, Rob says bring Lee. So he's like, he has no fucking clue. I'm sorry. He has no fracking clue who I am. I caught him. But yeah, so he had no flipping clue who I was. But it was but it was funny going back there and chatting with him. And oh my God, we get to do a break. I'm gonna shut up. Crack something, man.
I heard Rob is a interesting person now that he's uber famous.
He's really mellowed out. From the first time I met him was unpleasant. It wasn't necessarily his fault, but he had an entourage of like 15 security guards that were pushing people out of his way. And that really annoyed the bejesus out of me.
It's a good addiction to have. I agree, Steve. Good addiction to have. I never understood why you would need more than as a former bodyguard of A-list celebrity. You don't need more than 2 bodyguards. Trust me.
Yeah, well, they blocked the entire like 20-foot wide aisle, and my booth was on the other side. And as I'm trying to go into my own booth, one of his security guards basically shoulder checked me. And then when Rob stopped the fight, he, because I was also in the Marine Corps at the time, so I fought back. When Rob stopped the fight, he's like, "Did you want my autograph?" I was like, "No."
I mean, he charges $90 or $100 for it.
I love the drama of me talking while you're sitting there like opening. Nope. Gonna open. No, I'm not gonna open. Nope. I'll stop talking so Maddie can see what she got.
Bon chance.
There's 2 boxes. Did I see 2 boxes?
Oh, just one. I'm using the other one as a stepping stool.
Oh, okay.
I see a pack of cards.
Ooh. Oh, is that a wax pack?
It is. And it is in mint condition. Well, I can't say mint. It's in good condition, considering age. But
yeah,
this is a good sign that it's all plastic. That's because it's insert time. Oh, the lineup. You got it's got to be the beginning of the run. Yeah. Cards 1 through, I think, 12. These are all the important ones.
Nice.
All the character cards.
I noticed you hesitate on that Lando.
Yeah, I can't help it. He's just great. Sticker action.
Near mint.
So those, in and of themselves, are a great hit.
It's kind of hard to see what condition they're in with the glare, but those look nice.
These, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't believe I am, these came directly from a set that was in a paged binder. These were in really good shape. These came out of a set that was bound.
I don't know where Trevor finds these things. I'm just always in awe of his ability to just acquire things.
Congratulations!
No way.
Lee, what did you do?
What did I do?
What did you do art-wise that leads to a congratulations?
I don't know.
I don't know. This one's so good.
Oh, it's Sunset Fett. That's why.
Oh, Sunset Fett. That's the name of it. I'm gonna take it out of the plastic so you guys can love it.
Is that the one I accidentally, I think that was the other one I did upside down by accident. Was it?
Upside down red ink.
Yeah, I did do it upside down. I get so bummed when I do that. We talked about that on my stream last night, is those cards have no identifier on the front, which side is up or down. And I try to put them in one stack, but I also work on a slant, which means my table's slanted and everything slides. So periodically they get flipped and I try to check them and I just forget sometimes. It drives me crazy, but evidently it's become a thing for you guys.
It is. And when you do the red ink variation, you only sign like 25% in red ink. Usually it's blue.
Oh, not even that. I think I signed like 4 or 3.
Yeah, when this one was submitted, we had a lot of oohs and ahs amongst ourselves. This is Bad Ace. And it's an upside down, and it's a red ink. I mean, that's just triple rare.
Well, what's funny on that particular card, though, is when I did it, I kept saying it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. And everybody was giving me stuff about how it looks fine, just use it. And then I pulled out the airbrush and started going in and tweaking the colors the way I wanted to. And I was like, now it looks okay. So that one went to Maddie.
Oh, yeah.
That one's Maddie. So yeah, so Maddie has something to hold against Steve and basically say, haha, behave.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, going to a good home right there. And it was matched up with the character cards too, which is a nice touch. She's like,
I've got to remember when I see them in person next time to keep calling him Maddie and her Steve, because that was just really funny. At least for me. They seem to get a kick out of it too.
Well, it's because you're so approachable. Anything you say is great.
It was funny because when Doug introduced me to them, the way he gestured was he basically did this swooping arm gesture and said, "This is Steve and Maddie." And it just so happened that the gesture started at Maddie and ended at Steve, so I flipped it. Maddie says, "I am Steven." Perfect.
So you've actually seen them in the same room together, because I've only seen them electronically. For all I know, one of them is catfishing as the other person. But you can confirm it's 2 separate people, right?
It is, in fact, 2 separate people, 2 delightfully wonderful people to chat to. We talked art. Like I just nerd out when I talk art or storytelling, or, I didn't realize Steven at the time worked in the industry also. So now I kind of nerd over him because, he worked on Into the Spider-Verse, which is, again, like we mentioned this on your stream yesterday. When I saw Into the Spider-Verse, I could not get home fast enough to draw and paint and just create stuff. And I bought the art books and stuff because I was just so obsessed with how unique the visual effects and how amazingly strong the storytelling was. Because something I try to tell people is I much prefer storytelling like Into the Spider-Verse. And another recent example is things like Dune. Dune's a good one because I had a recent discussion about it. But like the Mentats, they never talk about how the Mentats are living computers. They don't mention it. They don't discuss it at all. But every time they have a complex question, they ask a Mentat, and you see his eyes flutter, and he goes, and you realize he's processing. That's a human computer. So they don't have to tell you this is a living computer. Mm-hmm. It's visually shown to you, and that's the type of storytelling I like, because when you do that type of storytelling, when you're not force feeding the story through monologues and exposition and over voicing some kind of a narration or something. Every time you watch the movie, you catch something new because you're seeing so much more of the story coming out because you've seen the other stuff. So your brain knows it's there and it's registered that and it's registered it's coming up. And then suddenly you see something else. You're, oh, whoa. And so I love that. And I actually got to meet the director of Into the Spider-Verse at right after it came out. Unfortunately, didn't have my book on me, but I actually did get some promo stuff signed by him. But met him up at Lightbox Expo, mostly because Sony Animation was actually talking to me about a project I created.
Are you allowed to talk about that yet?
As far as I know, nothing's happening.
Got it. Okay. Steve wants to know which director. There were a couple.
I'm trying to remember. It was well, I can't say large black gentleman because I'm 6'1", but he was a little bit shorter than me. So he was taller than average. Black gentleman. I'd have to go get the thing to go see which
Pete
one.
Ramsey.
I'm actually looking up right now to see which one because I think it was Peter.
Yeah, that's what Steve
What's
said.
his name? And yep, Peter, that's him. Yeah,
So-
I didn't want to say his name without verifying, but yeah, I was pretty sure it was Peter.
I will tell you, and I am overstepping my bounds right now and probably going to get myself into a lot of trouble. But hey, why not?
Are you going to drop an F-bomb?
No. I do know somebody that was not thoroughly pleased with the movie.
Really?
Yes, and that's because he was one of the co-creators of Spider-Man Noir. And he was excited to get invited to the initial screening and to walk the red carpet. And fairly heartbroken to realize he was not mentioned in any of the writing credits or creator credits or any credits at the end of the film.
Yeah, that same thing happened to Len, and he was super bummed because, and also it's kind of a weird thing, like between Marvel and DC. I always thought that because Marvel was a bigger company, they would take better care of their creators. But at least from what I was told by Len, when I was working with Len on some stuff, Len went and bought a really nice house. Granted, his house burned down, so he got insurance money and some other stuff. But then suddenly, he got just this massive, gorgeous house in a really upscale area of LA and whatnot. And I was like, wow, how much insurance did you get from your last one? He's like, oh, I haven't gotten the insurance check yet. This was the money I got from the Dark Knight. So
Yeah.
Len created Lucius Fox. And so the way DC Comics does it is, or Warner Brothers, is they would put, we'll say 20%. It's not that high, but they'll take something like 20% of the gross or the net or whatever of the revenue that's generated by a film. They'll put it aside and they'll say this 20% is what's going to the creators. And then everybody who created characters or had a hand in the creation of the characters, they're all subdivided. And what they do is they say, okay, Lucius Fox has 15% of the lines of the dialogue in this whole movie. So of that 20%, they would give the creators, Len and the artist who created it, they would split that 15%. So they'd each get 7% of that take from just that. So it was really interesting how they did that. Whereas Len also created Wolverine. And when the Wolverine movies came out, they always said Stan Lee.
Yeah.
And, Len was really bummed. And it actually took when I think it was Wolverine Origins came out. I remember Len telling me this, he called me up and he's just all like, I just had the most amazing experience. Hugh Jackman got up at the red carpet screening of Wolverine and basically told everybody who I was, called Len up and basically said, I owe my entire career to this man. This is my father. This is the man who created Wolverine. And he made sure that everybody in the room knew exactly who was the person who who had created Wolverine. And so, yeah, I just remember how giddy, and even if they don't get the money, it's nice to get the recognition as an artist. So when I was working on Kindergoth as a cartoon, I remember one of the things that sort of made me butt heads with Warner Brothers was, and this is Warner Brothers animation way back in the day. So this is like 2006, maybe 2005. When we were making the Kindergoth cartoon for the Cartoon Network. And so Kindergoth's a comic book I created. And I just remember butting heads with somebody because they had brought in a writer. And then when they showed me the credits for Kindergoth, it said created by, and then it was that writer's name. And I was like, excuse me? I've been working on this book for a decade. Mm-hmm. So no, he's not the creator. And so I kept putting my foot down. And it's, and it just, there's weird rules in Hollywood. So I guess they were saying something like, if you write the first issue or first episode of a show, you get the creator credit. So that's why I've been hesitant to actually go and do anything with any of the stuff I've created. I've had people ask me, but I'm always paranoid because I need to get an agent or somebody to represent me better. So that doesn't happen to me. But yeah, I see, Peter's going to direct an episode of the Ahsoka series. That's going to be awesome.
I think that casting for Ahsoka Tano was brilliant. I think she fits it perfectly.
That was entirely.
Yeah.
Fans were looking at Ahsoka Tano's face and the way it was structured, and she's got strong cheekbones, just the really wide mouth. They did have to make her look alien, and then somebody else looked at it and said, well, that looks like Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, it's actually Rosario. I got to see Rosario. Actually, I pseudo ran into her twice. I got to see her perform Rent in Canada. So in 98, they moved Rent from New York to Toronto, and they did a limited run with the original cast. Back when Rent was an unknown entity, and I got to see that in its first run in Toronto at the theater. And then I was in Austin, Texas. It had to have been around 2008. Rob Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino were shooting Grindhouse. And we were in the Doubletree Hotel right across the street from the Taco-Waria or whatever they call it, where they removed the roof of this taco place. And I didn't get to see. Not everybody was there. Anthony Rapp wasn't there at that time. It was only a couple of select people that came from the New York to start the Toronto one. But we were high. We were in a suite. I was acting at the time. I was in Austin for some improv workshops with some famous writers, directors, and talent, honing my skills. That's where I got to learn directly from Rafe Chase. Rafe Chase is a huge improv personality from California. Rafe, genius. So we were in suites because they put us in suites because it's what you do with actors. Big or small, they get nice places to live while they're abroad. And ours overlooked this building that they cut the roof off so that they could drop the crane in for the camera. And we got to see him set up the rain machine, which, by the way, spoilers, a rain machine on set is a giant metal pipe that is hooked up to a fire hose, and they drill holes in the pipe, and it rains.
They just shoot it in the air.
Yeah, that's it. It's a rain machine. So Rosario Dawson was there. I got to see... I shouldn't say this. You get to drink from the fire hose. You get to drink from the fire hose. So, I could probably get in trouble for saying this. Like, I could actually probably get in legal trouble for this if this were to ever get into the wrong hands. Rosario Dawson has a scene in Grindhouse where she is in the car, the death-proof car. This is for the death-proof portion. She's with Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell, by the way, big cigar aficionado. I know this because my producer at the time was smoking cigars with him in Austin, and I was out gallivanting. But
You do.
there is, like actors do. I was young and handsome back then. I really was. I'm not just saying that. Like I was,
I miss you, handsome.
I was a young handsome guy. And I could act really well. But there is a scene where he death proofs his car and then he slams it into a wall or tree. I can't remember which it is. And Rosario Dawson has her leg hanging out the window. And in the movie, her leg gets ripped completely off. And you see this disembodied leg flying through the air. So they obviously took a cast of Rosario's leg. And one of the worst Hollywood secrets that was actually spilled at the Golden Globes, I want to say. It was either Golden Globe or SAG Awards. Brad Pitt made note to everybody of how big of a foot fetish Q has. And there is this moment that I witnessed of Quentin Tarantino holding a disembodied leg, playing with the toes, and chasing Rosario Dawson around the set.
Please tell me he was yelling coochie coochie coo.
Yeah.
It just went full oogie boogie. Coochie coochie coo.
So yeah, there was that. I probably get in a lot of trouble for that story. Don't share that with anybody.
Or if you do, I don't know Quentin.
Yeah. Don't reference this video when you share that. But yeah, I got pictures with a death-proof car. My producer was hanging out with Kurt, and I watched them shoot a couple of scenes.
Nice.
What's going on, Jedi? How you doing? I'd be more surprised if Q didn't do that.
Yeah, I had when I was doing the Kindergarten thing, it was interesting because at one point we were talking to Sony about doing Kindergarten. So we went to the Columbia lot. And I kind of missed those days because they took us on, we went through and we walked through the set for Underworld. Because they were like, oh, you like goth stuff? Because of course I did the Kindergarten book. And it's all like, hell yeah. So hey, I watched my language that time. I almost said another word.
Thank you.
I'm getting better at this. I love you, DC. But so they would take me on tours of the set, and they're like, "Hey, you like goth stuff? Here's a bunch of vampires." But it was actually pretty trippy to get to see that soon, or the comic books and stuff and things like that they tend to make things. But I think my most notably for the Hollywood stuff, that I like, one of my biggest jobs is actually doing art that's the pitch art for producers and writers to get their projects made. Mm-hmm. So for those who don't know, basically it's like they'll hire me to do concept art, like the Ralph McQuarrie stuff for Star Wars, so that they can take it to a studio and say, this is what we're thinking the movie should look like. And then the movie studio says, ooh, this is really cool. And then they throw all my stuff away. And I can actually talk about this, but I did it once before. I can't name the movie, but I did it once before for a producer who then got the project picked up. And at one point down the line, Tim Burton signed on. And then Tim Burton threw everything I did away, brought in his own team, did their own thing. And then whatever reason, Tim Burton left the project. And then they used all of Tim Burton's production stuff and my art to start the next round. They brought somebody else in which case they then, well, it can't look like Tim Burton. So they threw everything away, including my stuff. So it's pretty funny. But I try to put in my contracts nowadays that that hopefully, if there's a place for me, I can work on the production side when I do that for people. Because most of my artwork is non-disclosure and I couldn't show it for the longest time. It was horrible as an artist because I could only show things I had done 5 years ago.
Jedi wants to know if it was Superman Lives.
It was not Superman Lives, Jedi.
It's a great story, by the way. Both
Do I
yours
like
and the Superman Live story.
Oh, the Superman leg. Yeah, we've got to tell the Superman Live story on my channel because there's a lot of swearing in that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Dealing with Kevin Smith. So one of these days we'll cover that over on my channel where it's less family friendly, not much less, but you know, we flex our vocabulary a little harder there. But Maddie wants to know if you like True Blood. What I saw of it was amazing. I have the original books that it's based off of. In fact, I've actually got a screener copy of the first one. So a pre-edited version of it. I also, by the way, I have a pre-edited version of World War Z.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
I bet you that was long.
What's that?
I bet you it was long.
No, actually. I think they added more when they edited it.
Reshoots.
So I have two books. The two most valuable books I own, because I collect a lot of books, is I have a first American edition, I should say, H.G. Wells Time Machine. So I believe it's 1895. And then the other book I own is actually a prop. It is from the movie The Brothers Grimm. It's actually the book that Heath Ledger is writing all the stories in throughout the book. And the backside of it is actually scorched because they lit it on fire at the end of the movie. And then thankfully somebody pulled it out of the fire and blew it out. Excuse me. But yeah, so I collect weird movie props too. But that one I just had to have. You know, the opportunity came up to get it, so I took it. I got to work briefly with Bill Sienkiewicz, Spider-Verse 2. Oh my God. So I was just teasing Bill. Can I say the A word?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I just want to make sure ass was okay. Or you're like, I thought you meant Anthony. But so Bill Sienkiewicz, we were chatting on Facebook the other day, and somebody's like, what is, it's like, is there anything that you have done since you've become famous or successful or whatever to indulge yourself? And Bill Sienkiewicz basically said, I like to have my ass moisturized and loofah'd. To which I then replied, now that the NDA has been cleared, I suppose I can add loofah technician to my LinkedIn profile. So Bill and I have been going back and forth about my loofah technique. But sorry, Bill was actually at we did a Comic-Con. I want to say it was 2020. We did a panel together in 2020. It was actually, I think, the second to last show we did before the pandemic hit.
Mm-hmm.
Her best friend's dad directed 13 episodes on True Blood. So I got to hang out with Del Zamora. That guy is a trip. I liked hanging out with him. He was in True Blood. So, but he was fun to hang out with. He just kind of loved life. And I like that about people who are just kind of, in it to win it, but also they don't take things too seriously. So how are you doing, sir?
I am looking, because I can't remember if it was True Blood. I had a friend who used to be a runway model, and it's somebody that I was a casual acquaintance with back when I was an actor. We were in the same area in Florida. And early in she was just getting her start when her and I crossed paths. Wonderful, wonderful person. I'm trying to see if this is, I don't think it was True Blood. It might have been something else I'm thinking of, because I'm looking at the IMDb page to see.
There were a lot of vampire projects around that time.
Yeah, she was actually in the show Project Runway, I believe. Or no, she was in America's Next Top Model. And she didn't do well because she didn't have a sob story. She had a great life growing up and didn't have my mother killed my father and jumped off a bridge and drowned my kitten story that everyone else had.
My brother ate my dog in front of me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she wasn't in that one. I'm thinking of something else then. I have to figure out what it was.
I hate those shows so much.
I know.
I want them. Like, I think really good reality TV show. And Steven, if you roll with this, call me. I think there should be a reality TV show about people trying to pitch their TV shows. I've always thought that that would be a really compelling one, because you see these people with their hopes and their dreams and everything on the line. And, you know, I've been in those phone calls or, you know, in those meetings where you've got one producer constantly whispering in your ear, we're going to make millions. And then nothing happens.
It's like Shark Tank movie edition.
Yeah, it's like Shark Tank entertainment industry edition. Yeah, exactly. Because it's brutal. And going through that. And then also, just like, I remember at one point I cracked a joke. I cracked several jokes doing Kindergoth, because if you've ever read Kindergoth, it's unique, we'll say. If you like Kevin Smith, like banter type stuff, and you're okay with little goth kids who are trying to save the world from aliens who get stoned on pork rinds, you'll love Kindergoth.
So I hate to say this, because I count you amongst my friends, and I don't have very many friends. But I've earmarked Kindergoth for me to read because I love the concept. I haven't gotten to it. It is on my list. I'm a bad friend.
Can I give you a copy? Do you have a copy?
If you give me a copy, I'll absolutely read it.
Okay.
But I have researched it, looked at it when I first met you. That was one of the things that he actually that Doug had mentioned. He's like, "Oh, this Kindergoth thing's actually was really fun." And I was like, cool, I dig that. There was a website way back in the day that a dude named Shock created called Silly Goth. And Silly Goth was a goth website that didn't take itself seriously, that was full of poetry, art, and stuff like that. And I was a big contributor to it, poetry-wise, because, yes, I used to write poetry, because what tortured actor didn't? And that was me. That was what I did. So when I saw that, I immediately was like, oh, that's going to be right up my alley. I can tell already.
I was always kind of, at one point, the people who were representing me, the producers who were representing me, actually asked me to stop going to meetings after a Fox meeting, because clearly Fox has no sense of humor. But I'm sitting in this meeting with all these Fox executives, and they're talking about it, and they're kind of giggling, and, you know, they're looking at it going, oh, we can do this, we can do this. There's the possibility of toys, and goth toys are huge right now. And so they're brainstorming about the potential marketing as well as storytelling and what time slots and things like that they could put this in.
Yeah.
And then one guy at the end of the table asks me, what demographic were you shooting for? To which I'm like, it's a comic book. I was shooting for the literate. And nobody else in the room appreciated the joke.
You insulted their intelligence. How dare you?
And they were just looking at me, and they're like, no, like, what age group were you going for? It's like, it's a comic book. I don't care who buys it. I just cared that they bought it and that they enjoyed it enough to go buy the next issue. And keep in mind, at that time, you know, when Kindergoth was coming out for that, you know, 5 or 6 issue run or whatever, we were outselling The Simpsons. So it was a very successful book.
So my friend Kimberly, she was in a little show called The Vampire Diaries. That's why I got it mixed up.
Yeah. I was going to say, there were a bunch of vampire projects way back.
And she was also in a little short-lived show called The Walking Dead. She played Crystal in The Walking Dead.
Remember, that just went nowhere, didn't
it? But Kim Lehmans is her name. Kimberly, wonderful human being. Kimberly is really a sweet woman. He's like, yeah, I've heard of that show. Her father, JP, was one of the coolest cats in the world. He was like your jet-setting pilot. You know, he was like James Bond. I wouldn't be surprised if JP was in the CIA, because he was an actor. He was a brilliant actor. He was also a very good pilot, and very cultured. And he raised Kimberly to be very Kim. I think I can call her Kim. I haven't seen Kim in 15 years. So, Kim, I know you're not watching. Hi. Kim, wonderful, very well-raised person, very educated, very cultured. He made sure that she knew every country and went to every country, and he really raised her fantastically. And unfortunately, because she didn't have a sob story, she didn't win her year of America's Next Top Model. But right after America's Next Top Model, she got contracts for every major label and was walking the runways anyway.
Nice.
But she just wasn't good for TV because she didn't have the "my brother ate my mother and stored her head in the fridge" story that everyone else seemed to have. Lee, have you ever seen or read Fortune and Glory by Bendis?
I have not. Let me look this up. Let me see if I can find it at my local. I actually just discovered that the Foo Fighters actually had a movie come out this year.
They did, yeah, the horror movie.
Yeah, Studio 666. I found out about it like last week, and I was like, I have got to see this. It's only got like a 50 something on Rotten Tomatoes, but come on, it's a musical horror comedy. How can you go wrong?
Speaking of Bendis, hold on, here we go. There's a Bendis signed book.
Nice.
I actually have, believe it or not, I have 2 books signed by Bendis. He signed it in the middle of the X.
Nice. I would have laughed. Maddie, my Twitch won't let me tag.
Oh, very nice. Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, hey, you can get a copy of Fortune and Glory pretty cheap. Yeah, I'm going to buy that.
Don, I'm sorry, buddy. I know you were broken up by not winning America's Next Top Model.
It was funny because you were talking about how your friend Kimberly was raised, proper and all this stuff. And the thought that went through my head was Maria's mom taught her how to drink tequila properly at age 12. Or started teaching her to drink tequila at age 12, so that by the time she got to her quinceañera, my future wife could outdrink all the guys who were trying to take her behind the tool shed.
Not to raise a stink, but what nationality is your wife?
Mexican.
And you're saying she drank tequila since 12?
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that.
I can go get her.
I'm being facetious.
Oh, okay. But yeah, no, her mom actually taught her how to drink tequila. It was really funny because I remember like she could always handle a lot of tequila, but it was funny because I remember one time we were in Vegas and I think we were at the Rio. And one of the bartenders basically, she's like, "Hey, can I get 2 shots tequila?" And he's just like, "Hey." So he pours